Okay, welcome back to Chia 102. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to call it, Chia 102. So in Chia 102 today, we are going to download our wallet. So to get started mining and plotting and receiving those sweet, sweet Chia funds, we're going to be downloading a wallet. And the best way to do that is to go to chia.net up here. And then we are going to go to download for Windows. We're going to save that file. And once you save that file, we get it installed. The next thing we're going to go over is how to set up our wallet. Well, I've already done that. So through the magic of just already doing it, here it is. So the first thing we're going to do is click Create a New Private Key. So this private key is very important. Now, these words are going to be different and unique to your machine. These are the 24 words that you'll use in this order to restore access to your wallet if it ever gets lost. So, if you lose it, it gets deleted, you have a house fire, make sure you write these 24 words down on a piece of paper and put it in a fireproof box, or copy it, put it on a document, an offline computer, inside of a flash drive, and put that in a storage box that goes into a bank. Either way, these keys are important. It's the only way to get access to your wallet back. No one will be able to help you if you don't have these words. And they're always going to be different and unique to you. So after you've written down your 24 words, you just hit next. And we'll get into the interface of what our wallet looks like. Okay, now we're at our full node. So, in order for you to farm Chia, it requires your node to be completely synced. And what that means is you have an entire copy of the blockchain in order for you to send and receive funds and to be able to farm your plots. Now, plotting is really easy. Now, you will see some cuts in here because, y'all don't need to see my files. That's what it is. In fact, I'll just go ahead and create that new folder right now where I will be putting my temporary plots. New folder, I'll call it plotting. So I got my new plotting folder. So to create your first plot, you go over to plots, you click add a plot, use whatever the default is here. Now you can go smaller, but it won't work. So you actually do need to use the 101.4 gigs. Remember from the first video, each bingo card is that size. And we're going to continue to be on that size. So right now, how does your machine support parallel plotting? Now, that's a hard question. So on my machine, I could probably do 2 plots in parallel, but it's going to vary. So right now, the requirements per plot is 4 gigs of RAM, and 2 cores of your processor will be dedicated to the plotting process. So, if it's 4 gigs of RAM and 2 cores of your processor, if you have a quad core and you have 8 gigs of RAM, you'll be able to do 2 plots. If you have a 6-core processor, you'll be able to do 3 plots, but you would also need 4 times 3, 12 gigs of RAM. So as you can see, the requirements start to climb as you want to do more plots in parallel. So the next thing I'm going to go to is our temporary directory. And unfortunately, it doesn't let me type in, so there will be a cut here while I select my folder. So after I've selected my folders, for my case, I've got a mechanical drive here that is on the F drive, and it's called plotting and then temp. And this is where all that temporary storage. So the other thing you got to keep in mind here for your plotting is how much temporary storage can you do in parallel. So if you've got 2 plots, so there'd be 239 gigs times 2. So I would need roughly 500 gigs or so of temporary space in order to complete my plot. So it only goes up, right? So the next place I would want to put it to is my external hard drive for storage. In this case, it's just my normal F drive here. And I've got it in the final destination, plotting plots. So let's talk about temporary file handling. Ideally, you want to use a NVMe drive because that gives you the best plotting speeds in parallel. Now, the problem is SSDs and NVMEs have a terabyte written lifespan. And because they have a lifespan, this process will eat them. So just keep that in mind. So whatever drive you use for temporary storage, like an SSD, that has flash memory, it will die. It will die a much faster death if you're writing plotting data to it. Basically, count that as the cost of doing business, right? The cost of building your bingo card. So after you have set your temporary location, your final directory location, I'm going to change mine back down to one plot just for, informational purposes. I hit create plot. So now what's going to happen is the whole process of it plotting is just going to take place. Now, I'll make another cut here, and I'll show what happens after hours and hours and hours of plotting has happened, and I'll show you what that interface actually looked like when you begin to farm your Chia. Okay, so as you can see here, on another machine that's been plotting away, this past few weeks, I have 35 plots. My estimated time to win is 4 months, and so far plotted about 4 terabytes of data, right? So right now this is on a super slow plotter. It's only doing 4 plots a day. Not very much, right? So it's slow, but that's fine. And if we go over here to plots, now you can see that these plots are farming. So after your thing has completed, after your plot has been made, and your node shows as synced, then you will be able to start farming your plots, which is great. I mean, that's really all it is to it. So as long as it's plotting and as long as the plots are getting farmed, you just sit back, relax, and wait for the Chia to roll in. So I hope you enjoyed Chia 102, which is, the basics of farming and plotting and how to do all that jazz in a really easy to use way. Stay tuned for the next video where we get into more advanced settings, because fun fact, you can actually have someone like myself plot your farm for you given certain keys. So we're going to show you how to extract those keys so that way they can be turned over to someone like myself and I can plot plots for you. That way you don't need to rely on your slow computer. And we're going to go over what advantages that brings. So stay tuned for Chia 103.